Hello, CSCW. I'm Dr. Amanda Cullen, here to present findings on an investigation of the reflective practices of community moderators. I conducted this research with my co-author, Dr. Sanjay Kairam, and on behalf of us both, I thank you for your kind attention. This project was undertaken to address common behaviors and issues of moderation found across many of the largest social systems online, but it focuses on the live streaming platform Twitch as a unique moderation ecosystem. On Twitch, community members often must apply their own contextual understanding of a group's values and goals in order to shape and monitor communities. In prior research on community moderators, this has been described as learning by doing, where the technical and contextual knowledge required to moderate is gained over time. However, while many prior studies have documented the strategies that moderators have developed to cope with challenges, there remains a gap in our understanding of how community moderators develop the knowledge and strategies required to engage with communities. Following the definition proposed by learning theorist Schon, we suggest that moderators can be conceptualized as reflective practitioners, professionals who develop a repertoire of knowledge and action as a result of frequent interaction with the environment. According to Schon, professionals become reflective practitioners through displays of both reflection in action and reflection on action. We argue that community moderators on sites like Twitch develop tacit knowledge of community standards and moderation best practices that they are continually refining through processes of reflection. In the summer of 2020, we interviewed 18 community moderators from the live streaming service Twitch. In contrast with many of the professions typically studied in the context of reflective practice, such as educators and healthcare workers, community moderators often end up in the role with little training and sometimes little notice. They learn the practice of moderation largely by performing it. Our findings then make the following contributions. First, we demonstrate how community moderation can be framed as a reflective practice in which moderators learn primarily through engagement with the community, the streamer, and other moderators as they develop a professional orientation towards moderation work. Second, we illustrate how reflection in action and reflection on action aids moderators in refining their mental models and strategies for engagement. And third, we explain how moderators working in teams reveal specific benefits associated with groups of professionals reflecting together, which we term Groupwise reflective practice. Starting with the case for community moderation as reflective practice. Very few streamers have a systematic approach to recruiting moderators, and as Searing et al. Demonstrated in previous research, they often recruit viewers who are standout members of the community to be their moderators. And then very few of these streamers offer training, guidance, or onboarding materials to these newly created moderators. Therefore, moderators are often left to rely on their own implicit knowledge gained through participation, observation, and reflection as viewers as their basis for how to be a moderator. Twitch community moderators use that base of implicit learning to begin that process of learning by doing. It is through these experiences of learning by doing, combined with their implicit knowledge, that they developed an instinct as a moderator that we have linked to Donald Schon's concept of knowing in action. Schon described knowing in action as a capacity for reflection on intuitive knowing in the midst of action to cope with the unique, uncertain, and conflicted situations of practice. Knowing in action describes how professionals just know what to do. So to put it all together, in our interviews with Twitch moderators, they frequently described moderation as an instinct for knowing what was intended and what was needed, honed by experience. Having made the broad case for community moderation as reflective practice, I'll now focus on how community moderators engage in the main activities of reflective practice, reflection in action, and reflection on action. In learning how to respond to situations, one of the principal considerations for Twitch community moderators as they evaluate and plan strategies for intervention is viewer intent. Understanding the context for viewer actions and ascertaining their intentions is an essential part of moderation. Many of the moderators that we interviewed believed that an experienced Twitch moderator could identify at a glance whether someone had made a mistake or had intentionally acted to cause a problem. Because Twitch chats are live, Twitch moderators are constantly called on to evaluate and reevaluate viewer intent against their mental models of appropriate behavior. Community moderators have to balance factors such as community standards, context, streamer preferences, and even the psychological states of everyone involved. Making decisions and then immediately reflecting on those decisions is an essential part of Twitch moderation. In many cases, specific interactions may lead moderators to not only reevaluate viewer intent, but also the goals of the channel and the moderation strategies used to accomplish these goals. And this often has to happen when the channel is live. A new behavior may lead to a new rule in the channel, for example. In addition to reflection in action, professional reflective practice is also characterized by reflection on action, which is the analysis of a situation after the fact. For Twitch moderators, this means using time when the channel is slow or offline to reassess specific situations or to have broader discussions with other moderators and the streamer about the goals and values of the channel. These moments of reflection, particularly with the group, are very important to individual moderators to also reflect on how the decisions and behaviors of other moderators and even the streamer impacts their individual moderation practices. I'll now move on to our third finding, group-wise reflective practice. During our interviews, we discovered that many moderators were part of moderator teams and felt that moderation was best conducted through teamwork. So while Twitch moderators typically operate independently when making in-the-moment decisions, when possible, these moderators like to work in tandem with other moderators. Several of our interviewees described something along the lines of wanting to present a united front and that having a consistent approach was essential to the work of moderation. For these moderators who often start out alone and without guidance, working within a moderator team bolsters their own decision-making, reaffirms a shared concept of community, identifies differing approaches, and adds to their sense of being professionals. We see the results of this work as an opportunity to talk about the challenges and necessities associated with designing meaningful training to help community moderators do this work. Our findings show that moderators typically rely on implicit learning through participation in order to compensate for a lack of structured onboarding to the channel-specific expectations for moderation. For sites like Twitch, where inconsistencies arise as a result of this lack of standardization between communities, we suggest the following methods of supporting community moderators as they work across the platform and in cross-platform contexts. Encourage streamers and moderators to surface their knowledge and expectations for community standards. Make more information about viewers available to moderators. Provide more tools for evaluating actions. Create templates for onboarding moderators. Establish more recommended resources on moderation best practices. And create more first-party spaces and tools for moderation documentation as well as discussion. We thank you for your time. Please find us online if you have any questions. Thank you.